Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish series stars. All the details are in our video. Before we dive in, remember to subscribe and share so you don't miss what happens next. Thank you for being here. The stormy back and forth between Baktaş and Yagmur, one of the most discussed pairs in showbiz, finally came into focus last night after weeks of whispers and speculation. They stood side by side and delivered a joint statement, declaring they would address the subject one last time and then step back. Barış, composed and deliberate, told the press this chapter had not been easy and that their long stretch of disagreements had brought them to this point. Then he paused and, in a measured tone that made every camera seize on him, offered the line that turned the night inside out. A new era had started in his life, his feelings had shifted as that change unfolded, and he now felt something unusual, something specific, towards Sinem. That single admission sent everyone racing toward one name, Sinem, the actress who has been working on the same production as Barış for some time. Not long ago, she had given an interview that set off a wave of debate online with a cryptic remark, "People you're sure you know can still surprise you." The statement lingered, and last night she chose not to elaborate, sharing only a short, quiet sentence instead. She didn't want to discuss what was happening in her life right now, and they would see what their hearts had to say when the timing was right. With that, she withdrew again, letting the echo of her words stir fresh arguments in every corner of social media. Throughout the announcement, Yagmur held herself with striking poise. She acknowledged that their decision came out of mutual respect and a desire to avoid bitterness. In her gentle closing, she said that endings, however painful, can be met with grace. If a love story reaches its last page, it deserves a calm goodbye. They would part and grow, each on their own path, and there was dignity in that choice. Her stance left a strong impression. As soon as the cameras stopped clicking, the internet split in two. Some insisted the trio had already found a way to reconcile with each other, while others argued that everyone was reading the clues incorrectly. But the detail that stood out most was Barış's insistence that this would be the final time he addressed the situation. Many read it as a clear message to the press: he would not be answering further questions about his private life. Now the question turning through every thread is whether Sinem will address the rumors more openly at next week's launch event for her new series. She has been careful, even when her words ignite speculation, and it remains to be seen whether she plans to clarify the story or let the public puzzle it out. One thing is certain: this triangle of shifting emotions has seized the headlines and refuses to let go. For days to come, the tabloids will dissect every glance, every line, and every post, trying to decode the hidden meanings that fans swear they can already see. The pair that had been the small screen's favorite couple, Baris and Yagmur, reappeared together after weeks of silence. The room was thick with anticipation, and what they said did not disappoint those expecting drama. They confirmed what had been circulating for a while: a separation was no longer just a rumor. But what nobody could stop talking about afterward was the moment when Barış took a slow breath, raised his eyes, and stripped away the last bit of ambiguity. He said this would be the final time he spoke about it, that he could not conceal his truth anymore, and that in the midst of everything, his heart had pivoted toward Sinem. What made it even more explosive was the context. Talk had already swirled around the connection between him and Sinem since they began spending long hours on set together. Nobody expected him to push the speculation into certainty with a single sentence, yet that's what happened. Meanwhile, Yagmur didn't flinch. She listened, nodded at the appropriate moments, and then addressed the room with the steadiness of someone who has already cried her tears in private. "Life sometimes takes people in diverging directions," she said. They had arrived at that crossroads with clarity, not fury. It wasn't a battle to be won or lost, it was about allowing one another to move forward without shackles. Social media lit up with praise for her composure. Comment after comment lauded the way she handled a moment that would have broken many others. Unsurprisingly, after that, every eye snapped towards Sinem. She has been posting confident, eye-catching content for weeks, and not long ago she'd shared another enigmatic thought: sometimes life opens doors you never saw coming. Then, as the press conference buzzed across the internet, she published a sparse message on Instagram. When the heart speaks, silence is often the wisest answer. Some interpreted it as a clear green light for new love. Others insisted she was being careful, staying vague in a world that thrives on certainty. Either way, the reaction was immediate. Thousands of comments flooded in. Supportive confessions from fans who love the pairing, skeptical observers demanding explanations, and critics accusing everyone of playing with public feelings. The emotions didn't stop at Sinem's profile. Comment sections under old photos of Baris and Yagmur turned into nostalgic scrapbooks. Fans wrote about their favorite scenes, the interviews that made them laugh, and the red carpet moments that felt like fairy tales. A few defended Baris, saying honesty is better than a quiet drift apart. Others defended Yagmur, thanking her for showing self-respect without cruelty. Even more people addressed Sinem directly, begging her to protect her heart and not let the hype swallow her. It felt like the entire country had pulled up a chair to witness private hearts learning to speak in public. And then came the confirmation everyone had been waiting for but dreading. After weeks of scattered clues, hush-hush comments, and carefully worded captions, the doubt evaporated. The long-term relationship of the beloved actor Baris Baktaş and the much-admired Yagmur Yüksel had reached its end. She made her first visible appearance since the whispers began, taking her seat while cameras snapped relentlessly, and the distance between them, though small in measurement, seemed wide enough to be felt by everyone present. He looked tense in flashes, as though the cost of telling the truth had finally come due. The room leaned in. She spoke first, easing the conversation toward a place where pain could at least be described with dignity. But everyone knew the night hinged on what he would add. When the silence stretched and the microphones waited, Baris finally answered. He repeated that he would speak just this once. He expressed the difficulty of the split, then admitted something that startled even those who had predicted it: life had reshuffled his feelings. A fresh page had been turned, whether he had planned it or not. He would not pretend otherwise. He felt something for Sinem, no disguise, no hedging, no careful halves. The room erupted, flash after flash, voices overlapping, questions colliding. Within minutes, the name at the center of the flames traveled everywhere: Sinem Ünsal, the actress he had recently worked with on multiple sets. What had seemed like a rumor earlier in the month suddenly took on weight. And yet the moment that could have shattered Yagmur became the moment that defined her. She refused to let anger write her lines for her. No separation is painless, she acknowledged, but sometimes different roads must be taken. She honored his choice to live as he felt called to live, promising not to swing words like weapons. She would slip out of sight when the noise died down and let time do what time always does, reshape the story into something they could all live with. There was tenderness in that promise, a strange humility that softened the hardest edges of a public goodbye. While the headlines blazed, a subtler conversation began under the surface. Was this brave honesty from Baris, or needless bluntness? Was Sinem's restraint wisdom or strategy? Was Yagmur too gracious for her own good, or was this exactly the example people needed to see? Even as everyone took a side, it became obvious that something larger had happened. This wasn't just about a confession, it was about what it means to change while the world watches, what it costs to admit you cannot be the person you were yesterday, and whether a breakup can be both painful and respectable. The tabloids will ride the drama for days, maybe weeks. But the people who truly cared about these three will quietly hope all of them find a softer place to land. We close where we began, with the facts no longer hidden and the futures still unwritten. Baris says he will not repeat himself on this topic again. Yagmur keeps her head high, loving herself enough to walk away without cruelty. Sinem stays measured, careful to let actions arrive before explanations. And you, watching, reading, guessing, are left to make sense of the pauses and the glances and the sentences that stop just short of a declaration. However this story turns in the days ahead, it will be told and retold in every timeline and group chat, because that is how it goes when private hearts end up in the public square. If you enjoyed our coverage, subscribe to Turkish series stars and share this video so more people can follow what unfolds. Until the next update, we'll keep listening to the silences as closely as the words, because sometimes the real story hides between them.